Welcome to My First Boat. In this channel we will show you the step-by-step restoration of our 40-foot vintage steel yacht, with the goal to someday living on it full time.
So the plan for this section is to make a wet head. And at this point I'm not exactly sure how to do this, so like so often in life, when in doubt, you just rip it all out and then hopefully the ideas will come.
But first, let's go back to the very beginning of this week number 20. That's right, 20 weeks, that's 5 months into this project. We started by painting the freshly welded window borders with primer to protect them from the elements. And don't worry, we get the boring stuff out of the way in the beginning. We got some exciting stuff coming up later in this video, so make sure you watch all the way to the end.
This cabin needs to be removed, otherwise I cannot access the ceiling for removing the dust and painting. So this time I promise I try my best to remove it and not destroy it, so that later on we can put it back as it was.
Yeah, right. I believe it when I see it. You always say that. Well, let's see how it goes.
Right, I'm first gonna try to remove this bar. It seems to be quite straightforward.
At this point, I noticed that I had removed everything that was of value in this area, so from here on out I could use a little less subtle methods. This wall was bolted down on almost every side, so there was no way I could get this out without damaging it. And that's where we are at with the head so far. Now let's move on to another area, still in the forward cabin, but on the ceiling, where I first removed the old hatches. And just look at this. No wonder so much water came in, as the area around the rubber joint was completely gone. The other hatch was almost not affected by rust at all.
Alright, so the ceiling is now completely free here in the forward cabin, and we can fully assess the damage. As we have discovered already previously, the condition of the ceiling in the forward cabin is without a doubt the worst among all the areas here on the boat. We have areas such as here where the steel is completely gone. This I'm gonna have to completely cut out and replace with fresh steel. There are several little holes such as here which don't seem to go all the way through, so maybe I can just put some weld in there, something like that. Then we have areas that are rusted only on the surface, so a nice grind and sanding, rust converter and so on will fix this.
So let's first remove all the heavy rust on the surface and cut away whatever is beyond repair. Alright, now let's leave this as it is for now, and we'll get back to this later. Next I want to tell you the story of one of the engine room air vents, where last week I cut out a little square just to find out piles of rust and debris. So I decided to open it up a little further, and guess what I found? More piles of rust and debris. I even built a little scraping tool, hoping that I would be able to clear it out like this. And I had some moderate success with this. But it just didn't feel right to close this up at this point without cleaning it out further. So I decided to cut out an even bigger part. There was still too much rust and debris inside, so I ended up cutting away the entire part, which I probably should have done in the first place. Then I cleared out the rust with an angle grinder and a steel brush and put a coat of rust converting oil on it. Following is a tale of misjudgment, ending up with me putting way too much time and effort into something. Long story short, in hindsight I should have just bought a single steel plate and welded in place. Instead, what I did is the following. I put back the pieces I cut out initially, which I even had to patch up with new steel in some areas because they were too thin. Then after sleeping over it another night, I decided to cut it all out again and get a proper piece of steel. Lesson learned. There was one rusty area that looked like a 1,000-leaf cake. Not on my watch. Right, now let's get back to the head.
So the plan for this section is to make a wet head, which means we have a toilet and a shower all in one room. And at this point I'm not exactly sure how to do this, so like so often in life, when in doubt, you just rip it all out and then hopefully the ideas will come. So let's do that now.
First, we need to remove those wooden floor plates. They're quite beautiful, so I'm gonna hang on to those. Luckily, they're just glued, so they're quite easy to remove. The naked wooden floor underneath looks so beautiful. Now let's destroy it. And there you go, the floor is gone, mission accomplished. Now we can think about how to build in a shower. Last thing to do is to remove the rest of this sidewall. And this is what our propane fridge looks from behind. Right, we are now a little later in the week, and as you can see, the snow is gone. The temperatures are a bit warmer, so let's get started on working on those hatches in the forward cabin. I made a cardboard template because I'm still waiting for the new hatches to arrive in the mail. I then cut out the hole for one of the new hatches.
So the hole for the new hatch is cut out, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna trim this piece and clean up this area here and prepare everything for welding.
Now the areas are ready for welding. And this is where we are at with the first of the new hatches for now.
So this thing is in the way because we want to close this off into a separate room right here. So I'm gonna remove those floor panels and see how we can access that through hull.
By the way, I found a little inscription here on the floor panels. It appears to be a Dutch name, but I have no idea who that could be or why it's there. And while we're at it, I thought I'd remove the other one in the forward cabin as well.
So there's something strange going on here in the engine room. First of all, we have a surprisingly large amount of water accumulated here in the bottom. I checked maybe a week ago and there wasn't that much water, but now suddenly it increased like tenfold. And I can see both drains, one is the diesel tank and one is the water tank, both are dripping. And another thing I noticed is that the water tank up until here has condensation on it, and to the touch it's very cold. So my theory is that either the water tank has always been all the way full until here or filled up with water during the winter now with rainwater, whatever. Then the water froze recently and now it's colder than the outside temperature here. That's why there's condensation, and maybe it has broken the pipe, something like that. Yeah, anyway, I'm playing a bit detective here. And I'm a bit surprised that there's so much water accumulated in the bilge. So I'm gonna get that out.
And I will keep you posted in one of the upcoming videos. With this, I'm signing out. Thank you so much for watching all the way until now, and hope to see you again in the next video.